I think theology's for the clergy. I just believe in Jesus.
Certain hermeneutics of eschatology demand an exegetical approach.
I think you shouldn't question what you were taught in church. Isn't that blasphemy or something?
Theology. Unplugged.
Hey guys, welcome to Theology Unplugged. I am once again doing something a little bit different. I want to talk about red stuff. So that's what we're going to talk about this whole time is red stuff. We're really going to be defining sin. And you can see this on my blog if you go to my Patreon, patreon.com/C Michael Patton /C Michael Patton, as in Christopher Michael Patton. And that's where you can find me everywhere, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok. I mean, pretty much everything. Just put /C Michael Patton, and there I will be probably. But this is at my blog on Patreon, and I figured I was going to turn this into a podcast directly, because you can listen to it on my Patreon. You can listen to some guy that I put through AI, and it reads. It does pretty darn good. I like it. The guy's voice is okay. But and I actually tried to make my voice, but it would only make it to where you could do things 10 or 15 seconds at a time. And so it'd take me forever to put it all together. Probably shorter than doing this podcast, but I like doing the podcast anyway and like to reach out and say hey to you all. So thank you all so much for listening to this. Hey, please listen. Every time, I'm telling you, every time you like this podcast, every time you like the YouTube, if you just click that you like, it really does do something. Something in the algorithm causes it to go. So if you're listening to this right now, please like it, but only if you like it. Is that a tautology or a circular? That's circular reasoning. Okay. This is about sin, and I've subtitled, well, it's called Red Stuff, Adventures in Trading Everything for Nothing. Okay, now let that soak in. What's it going to be about? Adventures in trading everything for nothing. Let's see here. Harmartiology for the rest of us. That's another subtitle that I went with. Harmartiology for the rest of us. Okay, this is what I'm about. This is what it's about. If someone were to ask me in my normal everyday context, my self-appointed role, of course, is theology czar. What is sin? I would probably give them a broad machine gun, approach to sin from a theology standpoint. I would probably talk to them about imputed sin and inherited sin and personal sin and concupiscence of Saint Augustine, sins of omission, sins of commission. That's what I would go to, mortal sins, venial sins. But really, that's not the everyday deal. And people don't even know what you're talking about. You guys do. You guys love it, and I love it. And it is good. I don't mean to undermine it. And it's something we should do. But whenever we're talking about sin, we're living in a world where people today, back in my day, whenever I was growing up, people used to always say, whenever you use the word sin, it creates you as a fundamentalist. It separates you. Don't use the word sin, use something else. And, you can say sin, but then you have to define it because you don't want people to put you in a camp or a category. Today it's even worse, where people maybe have never heard this word sin. I mean, I know they probably have, but it's so rarely used now, because people in my day kind of bought into that and said, well, I'm just not going to use this word anymore. And so the sin is very rarely used. It's a relic of the past, not just archaic, but an actual relic. I mean, it's about as well known as the word Harmartiology. Again, did I already say that? Yeah, I did. Harmartiology is from Harmartia. Harmartia is the Greek word for sin. So Harmartiology is what? The study of sin. Therefore, I just now got my R.C. Sproul in for the day. R.C. Sproul, I cut my teeth on him and every bit of this stuff. So anyway, I want to talk about a definition of sin. And back in Greek, my Greek professor, if he was to define harmartia, he would say essentially it is missing the mark. That's what it means in Greek, missing the mark. So sin is missing the mark. We're trying for the mark of God, and we miss it. The center of the target. You got a target built up, and then you're shooting an arrow, and you miss the mark. No matter how far off you are from the very center, the center is where God is at, and whenever you miss the center, you miss what God has us aiming for. So that's a great definition. It really is. But I like this definition right now for our purposes because I want to bring it down even a little bit lower than the missing the mark illustration. Sin is a worthless choice. That's what it is. Now I'm going with that the rest of this time, so you better like it. Sin is a worthless choice. Okay, now we're going to move to a story that may be like the word sin. Many people don't know today. Don't assume people know any of these stories anymore. I mean, goodness, it's just different. And I'm not complaining. I am complaining in a way, but in another way, it's exciting because back in my day, everybody knew the stories, and they were just stories. They weren't even interesting because you heard them so much. They're such a part of our culture. Now they're not, and we lost a lot from that, but we've also gained something because whenever you're telling somebody this story for the first time and you see it, what's going on with them, it is interesting. It is fun. It's an adventure. It's something completely different because they've never heard it. So in one way, it's very exciting to live in our day. We've got great opportunity. Tell stories, tell words. People haven't heard any of this stuff, and it's brand new, so you're not getting associated. Okay, so where do I go? This is a story called Swallowing the Red Stuff. I've told this many times in sermons. If I go to preach at a church, and they say, hey, will you come preach at a church? And I say, yeah, sure. And I say, what do you want me to preach on? If they say anything, I'll come and preach my red stuff sermon, because it's my favorite sermon, simply because the illustration is so vivid. But here we go. We're talking about the story of Jacob and Esau, age-old story. Characters, let me give you the characters, two brothers. So you've got one cunning brother and one foolish brother. And they're twins. They came out at the same time, but they look very different. Okay, so the custom of the day, listen to this, okay? Whenever you have brothers, the custom of the day was to give all the inheritance, the family inheritance, to the older brother. It's just the way it was. The younger brother got a half portion. Or you would say a double portion for the older brother. But the older brother got the birthright, which was kind of the family tradition, the family inheritance. And so it was very important in every family. But in this family, it was so much more important because you have the father of the two brothers, which is Isaac, which his father was Abraham. And Abraham is the guy that God came to in a land called Ur and said, listen, I am making a people out of you. I am changing the world through you. I am going to use you to bring about the redemption that I promised all the way back in the garden. And so Abraham followed, Isaac followed, and then you got these two brothers. And these two brothers know this birthright. They know what the inheritance is. It's more than just money. Yes, they were very rich. Yes, they had a lot of cattle. Yes, it was a great family to be born into from that standpoint, but it's the greatest family in the world to be born into because this is the beginning of the Jews, from whom, through whom Christ is going to come. The Messiah is going to come, the promised one, the one that they promised in Genesis 3:15. At the very, very, very beginning, whenever he said, I'm going to bring somebody about that crushes the head of the serpent. In other words, that fixes everything in this world that you broke. So you got those two characters, and here they are. Now you got the setting. The setting's so important. The setting is on a day in Canaan. So you've got Jacob, the mama's boy, and he was a mama's boy. Soft hands. He liked to cook. I mean, don't think of it that way. I like to cook, and that doesn't mean I've got soft hands. All right, so don't go there. I shouldn't have written that. I'm not writing about me. I'm writing about Jacob. Jacob was the mama's boy. He's got soft hands, and now you got Esau, and he's in here cooking. He's in his house cooking a great meal, a 10-course meal, and he's excited, not because of the meal, not because he's hungry, but because he knows where his brother's at. His brother is out hunting, and he's been hunting all day, and he's thinking, my brother, talked to him earlier, hadn't shot anything. Talked to him. There hasn't been anything out there. He's not going to catch anything today. He's not going to be out there and be able to have any food whatsoever. He's going to be there from morning till night, and he has not eaten anything because he has not caught anything. And whenever he comes in here, what he's going to do is he's going to see what I'm doing, he'll smell what I have made, the aroma of all the bread and all the stew and all the greatness that I have made. I'm going to make it smell so good. And he's so stupid. That's what Jacob's thinking. He's something I know my brother. He's so dumb. I've seen him 1,000 times make the dumbest decisions. He's a tough guy. Yes, he is. He can hunt well. Yes, he can, but he's dumb. So here's what I'm doing. I'm making a meal, and whenever he comes in, he's going to smell it. So here comes rugged old Esau. He busts through the door. Picture this. I mean, the door is just busting open. And all he does is look around in panic mode. Jacob's over there stirring a pot, smiling. And Esau says, that stuff, that red stuff you got in that pot, give it to me. I'm going to devour it. The text, I think, in the New American Standard says, give me a swallow of that. And the word for swallows, they're trying to come up with the best word for just kind of like a pig eating. I'm going to stick my face in it, and I'm just going to eat it all as fast as I can. You've been there where you just got to have a swallow of stuff. Well, that's what Esau, that's the point that Esau is at. So I don't know what the situation with these brothers were. I mean, if I came in, I don't have a brother, but if I came in and had a brother and he was making stuff, I don't ask for it. I just come push him out of the way and get it. I don't care if I'm younger or older. And this guy's the tough guy, but something in their situation where he's like, can I have some of that? And Jacob says, well, yes. Puts his hands together and kind of rubs them. Says, yes, you can have some, but there is a condition. Okay, so here's what happens. Let me read the text. I'm reading from Genesis 29, 25, 30, 29 through 34. 25, 29 through 34. When Jacob had cooked stew, Esau came in from the field, for he was famished. And Esau said to Jacob, please give me a swallow of that red stuff, for I am famished. But Jacob said, first, you can just see him first, I got a proposition. First, sell me your birthright. Now listen to what Esau says about that. I mean, say you're an idiot. You're crazy. I don't even know what that stuff is. It smells good, but I don't know what it is. He says, Jacob says, first swear to me. Give me your oath. And here's Esau. He says, listen to this rationality. He says, behold, I am about to die. So what use then is a birthright to me? And Jacob said, okay, swear to me. First swear to me. So he swore to him and sold his birthright to Jacob. Then Jacob gave Esau the bread and lentil stew. Notice here, he ate and drank and rose and went on his way. You got to catch that in the narrative. The basic thing is, it was over immediately. So fast. He ate, drank, rose, and went his way. And now listen, last line, and we'll come to this later as well. Thus Esau despised his birthright. So what do we have here? We have Esau thinking he's about to die. I mean, he's making a foolish decision. He's over analyzing his situation. I am going to die. I haven't eaten all day. He's not going to die. He's not going to die. It's just what you say. We rationalize for everything. You know, if you think about any time you are wanting something that you probably shouldn't have. You've already rationalized it in your mind, and you're ready to say to whoever asks you, immediately you will have the reaction of, I'm about to die, so that's why I do what I do. I mean, I have to have this. I need it. You don't understand. It is absolutely essential for me. That's the stuff that we say. So that's what he does. I'm about to die. That's what he says in his mind, and he sells it. And what does he sell? Let's go back up. Remember, what is he selling? He is selling his birthright. He is selling he's literally selling the Garden of Eden, the redemption, the line of Abraham that Christ is going to come through. He gives it all away. That's what is going on here. At least the narrative wants us to see that's what it's teaching us. Now, there's other things that are going on as well with this birthright, because it really has to be turned over from the standpoint of God in a different way. But at this point, this is how dumb he is. He's selling the most valuable thing you can possibly imagine for something he doesn't even know how to define. All he knows is the color of it. And this is the best definition of sin I can possibly think of. It is trading something of immense value for something that is worthless. It's making a stupid trade. It's making an irrational trade that we think we need. We exchange. We'll do this all the time. We make this exchange nonstop. We exchange everything great for worthless stuff. And sin is always a worthless choice. It's rejecting that which God has offered us, the potential that he sees in us, the potential he created us for something worthless. Okay, now let me give you a father-son illustration, because I think this is the best way to think of it. Think of a father who goes in and he sees his son. And his son is just sitting there, maybe he's playing a game, the latest version of Call of Duty or something. And his dad comes up and says, "Hey, son, let's do something." And son said, "Nah, no, I don't want to." "You want to have a Bible study?" "Nah, don't want to." "You want to go hiking, at least with your friends?" "No, I don't want to." "How about reading a book? That'd be better for you." "Nope." "You want to go grab a bite to eat with me?" "No." "You want to work out, play basketball, hunting, fishing? Just go hang out with me for a little bit. Just come talk." Nope. Everything the father suggests, everything better that is an option before him, anything deeper, anything more meaningful, it gets the same answer. The boy is locked in on his screen, oblivious to everything in life that is passing him by. His father knows, because his father, he thinks back to whenever the son was born. I mean, the first thing he does whenever he thinks of this, whenever he looks at him, is he looks at him in the face and says, "You don't understand everything I'm going to show you." And all the great, he thinks enough, not the bad stuff. He doesn't want the son to ever go through any of that. He wants no bad choices. He's like, "Man, you are not going to believe how great this life is. You're not going to believe all the stuff that we're going to do together. You're not going to believe." He imagines everything good that his son is going to do and what he's going to do with his son. He believes in it. The father believes just like God believes whenever he creates us. It's kind of, if you could think of God whenever he creates us, he's like, he doesn't create because he needs anything. He doesn't need companionship. He's fully satisfied in the Trinity, in his Trinitarian relationship. He's not lacking in anything. He doesn't need help. He's not saying, "Man, I need somebody to worship me," or "I'm so good looking," or "I'm so glorious that we ought to create a being that will see my glory and just talk about it all the time." That has nothing to do with why God created us. He created us essentially in the end, and you can see this in the narrative of Genesis, but it's to give to us all this great stuff for the same reason that you might have children. Hopefully, if you've had children, this is why you have children. It's because you want to share in life. God wants to share in himself. God knows his own greatness and what he has created in this world. He enjoys life. God loves living. God loves being. God loves life. Therefore, he creates people who are in his image that can share in this stuff. And he's kind of like, you're not going to believe the stuff that I have for you. Whenever he created Adam in the garden, you are not going to, even work itself, till in the garden, at the beginning was part of the greatness because we were subduing, we were ruling over the earth. That's what he loves. It's one of the great things that we are built for, and that's all the good stuff. And so God creates us and says, I'm giving you all this incredible stuff. I'm offering it to you, though, because you have to choose it. I'm going to put it before you, and you got to choose the good. The good is not something that I'm putting here to take away from the fun. You look over there, and this is all the fun stuff, and then this is all the good stuff, and you think, which one? It's better to choose the fun stuff. But God's saying, you don't understand. You don't understand. That stuff is actually worthless. You know how I know? Because I am the good. And everything that I tell you, you've got to trust me that stuff you choose that is not right and is against me, it's absolutely worthless. It will destroy you. It's red stuff. That's all it is red stuff. You can't even define it. It is so bad. That's the line of thinking it comes to. Listen to this. The Bible says he made us to receive grace upon grace and walk in his purpose. He laid this out before time began. John 10:10 says, the thief comes to steal and kill and destroy. I came that they might have life and have it abundantly. Now get that. It's not you become a believer or get saved. It's you have life and have it abundantly. In Psalm 16:11 it says, you make known to me the path of life. In your presence there is fullness of joy, and at your right hand are pleasures forevermore. Listen to that. That's what he's saying. The great things are with you. Romans 8:32 is the best of them all. It says, he who did not spare his own son, but gave him up for us all, how will he not graciously give to us all things? It even says in the Bible that he's going to share in his glory. That's, if you can picture God, I'm going to share everything with you. I mean, he can't make us God. And of course, God is always God, but he wants to share of himself. That's why we are created in his image. So think of that whenever you're thinking of the good, so that you can understand the worthless choice and what we throw away, what we walk right past, what we say no thanks to. Whenever we're staring at the screen and passing other stuff up, think of what the screen might be for you between you and God. We trade something great for something that feels easier, lighter, safer. We say, I'd rather have this stuff that happens to be red. And God, like a father, watches with a grieving heart, not because we've broken some abstract rule, but because we have rejected him. We've walked away from what could have been. Why did Esau make the trade? Let me tell you this. You've heard this before, probably. I don't mean to tell this story over and over again. I'm not going to spend that long on it, but let me tell you about my own red stuff, some recent red stuff. As good as you all think I am all the time, as good as I come across, I know you think I'm perfect and I always choose the right stuff, but I do not. I mean, I have exchanged my birthright for something that happens to be red in a grandiose way. Back whenever I was starting the Credo House, back around 2008, 2009, I was starting the Credo House. Now, there were things going on in my family in the background that have to do with this, but I was starting the Credo House. So much stuff God was giving to me, so many blessings he had given to me, with my family, with my kids, with my wife, with what was just ahead of us. And you know, the theology program, the teaching, there was just so much ahead. And it really was. Every sign was saying, Michael, God's going to use you. And I was incredibly excited about this. I really was, because I remember sitting in seminary thinking, I cannot wait one day to give. I was so excited about all the stuff that I was learning. I mean, it was just the most incredible stuff I'd ever learned. And I was saying, I can't wait to go share this with everybody. And I prayed in class, in church history class, as my heart was filled with excitement about what I was learning. I actually think I was learning about origin in that day. I don't know why that excited me so much, but it was just stuff that I didn't know, and to see God work and to see how true everything was. And I don't know. I just said in a prayer, God, let me take everything I'm learning here and give it to people who will never come to seminary. And that's what he was doing with me. And then we started the Credo House Coffee Shop, which was a theologically themed coffee shop, had, timelines on the wall, all the great church, all the great fathers of the church. It was incredible. You wouldn't believe it. Luther lattes, Calvin cappuccinos, the C.S. Lewis, which was an Irish cream. I mean, it was so much fun, and people were coming. Everything was great. But in the background, there were some problems in my life. And it was difficult, and I had some family tragedy, as I said, and had some pretty significant pain in my back. Well, I took a pain pill, and the pain pills all of a sudden became my red stuff, because not only did they take away my pain that was in my back, they made me realize something deep inside emotionally that I was lacking, and I didn't know it. They filled a void that I didn't know that I had. And then all of a sudden, I was excited. The pain pills made me excited. They gave me emotional relief. It felt like spiritual relief. It really did at the time. I thought, golly, this is making my life with God better. Somehow they numbed an ache in my soul that I didn't know that was there. The pressure and fear and the sadness I didn't know was there. It all faded. Just for a little while at least. And for the first time in a long time, I could breathe, and I didn't know I couldn't breathe. I didn't know I was breathing so shallowly for so long. And so all of a sudden, my lungs opened up, and I took a deep breath, and I said, this is the greatest thing I've ever done. And I can do this and do the ministry. And sure enough, I knew what I was trading. I knew what I was doing. I like to say sometimes I didn't, but there were times whenever I would take these and I'd say, you know what? My back doesn't hurt. I'm taking this for another reason. Something else is wrong with me. And I took it anyway. I wasn't chasing the high after anymore. I was chasing just normality. I mean, the addiction became so bad, but it was my red stuff. I wasn't trying to rebel against God. That's not what I was thinking. I wasn't saying, man, I want to rebel and do the bad stuff. I wasn't. I was just trying the quick, easy way out, and that was red stuff. I was tired of hurting. I was tired of feeling like I was drowning at the same time as doing the ministry. The pills made it all manageable again. Made everything survival possible. I traded over everything that God had given me. The Romans 1:25 says they exchanged the truth of God for a lie. And that's what I did. So that was my red stuff. That's my example. And it was pretty big red stuff. I'm not saying it still is. It's not like I sit around and think about it a lot. But, I stopped in 2017 and thank God I did. But, that is an example of my red stuff. I only give you past red stuff for me because I've overcome it. I'm not going to give you any of the present stuff. Then you'll think bad about me. But trust me, I got present red stuff as well. I got things that I trade for things worthless that I trade in something very valuable for. But listen to this. Here's the deal. Here's the key. And you got to get this. Everybody has red stuff. And I have to ask you, what is your red stuff? What is the worthless thing that you know is worthless that you keep on trading in that which God is offering at all times? All the good. You might say, Michael, God hasn't offered me anything. He hasn't offered me to go to ministry or anything big. Yes, he has. The life's good elements are his offerings because that is part of him sharing. Whenever you choose the bad, the opposite of that is God every single time. Listen to this. I think some of you will get this illustration if you haven't gotten the rest. But the red stuff, or sin, just sin in general, is like spiritual buyer's remorse. Spiritual buyer's remorse. You know how whenever you go and you buy something and then right after you buy, no, really, as you're buying it, you put it in your cart and you're walking it to the register and you're like, I should not buy this. This is so stupid. There's no reason for me to buy this, but you can't help it. You buy it anyway. You got an impulse buy. Well, we're impulse sinners. And then the remorse that you have, the buyer's remorse, that's what you have for the sin. Immediately. It comes immediately. Remember Esau? It just says he ate and drank and went his way. That was an immediate thing. And there's something more that happened. You got to wait for. It's crazy. Okay, so don't turn this off because I am not done. There's something at the very end that is crazy that you got to hear that is so important, and it'll pull things together for you. But this is what I'm talking about. It's spiritual buyer's remorse. You're walking. Let me just give the description here once again. You're walking through the store. You see something you don't need, something you didn't plan for, but it calls out to you. You put it in your cart. Maybe it's a comfort. Maybe it's a convenience. Maybe it's just feeling that you deserve this. And then you just say, this is a bad decision. And sure enough, it turns into remorse. That's what I'm talking about. So what is it? What is it for you? What is the red stuff? What is the stuff that you do? And whenever you're doing it, you're like, I shouldn't buy this. I shouldn't trade it in. After you're done, you're like, that was stupid. I mean, is it the moment? Is your red stuff the moment of lust that you can have when nobody's watching? Is it whenever you're just scrolling through something that never ends? Is it the shot that will make you forget? Is it the grudge for something somebody has done that you're still hanging on to and doesn't serve you any purpose except for a prison of pain? Is it the dress that you think will make everybody look at you and love you? Is it the explosive outburst that relieves your anger? What is the comfort you reach for instead of God? We all have red stuff. And here's the truth. God knows it. God sees it. It's not as if he's surprised by our red stuff. But you got to understand one thing, and this is part of what I was having you wait for. The narrative, back to the narrative, at the very, very end, the last sentence of this narrative, after Esau ate and drank and went his way, what does it say? It says, thus Esau despised his birthright. That is absolutely so powerful because you got to understand what it's saying. It's saying that right after Esau was done, and he has this spiritual buyer's remorse. He traded in everything for something he didn't even know what it was, something so worthless. And then the very last thing, it gets worse. It really does, because he hates that which is good. Thus, Esau hated it. Why did he hate his birthright? What good was that? That doesn't help anything. Why do you hate your birth? Because that's what you do. You end up hating the good because you chose the bad, and it makes you feel better. That's your new sin, is to hate the good. You're looking over there at the good that you could have you could have traded for, and you're saying that is so stupid. I hate you, whatever you are. That's what happens when we choose red stuff often enough. You've seen it. You've seen people that choose red stuff all the time. They hate the birthrights. They hate the good things. They hate people who have the birthrights. You see a group of people, if you're one who doesn't, you're the one who chooses red stuff, and you look over there and you see a group of people, they all have birthrights. You laugh at them, you mock, you scoff, you see truth and you flinch. You see beauty, true beauty, and you vomit. Or you're just laughing at everybody. That's the best you got. That's our primary defense, is to laugh. And whenever you see people laughing at people that are doing good, you know what's going on. because don't be too hard on them. I mean, they traded everything from their standpoint, and they're not ready to trade it back. And they that's their defense. And we gotta work with them, because you got it too. We've all got it. But listen to this. Here's the key. You got it. Here's the ending, and it's this one goes into the centrality of the gospel better than anything else. But even if you personally listen to this are at this point, I'm telling you, God, you don't believe it because you've chosen the red stuff so many times. You've rejected God so many times. You looked over at God even and you hated him because you didn't choose him. But God wants you back so much. That's what the gospel is. That's what the entire story of the Bible is, about God on a mission to get people back that bought red stuff, to give them their birthright back. Listen to this. This is one of my favorite verses. And after this, it'll be one of your favorite verses too, because it's amazing. 2 Corinthians 5:21, it says, He made him who knew no sin to be sin on our behalf, so that we might become the righteousness of God. That's the New American Standard Version. Now, let me offer you to the New Michael Standard Version based upon what we are doing here, okay? So humor me just for a minute. Listen to that, okay? So he made him who knew no sin to be sin on our behalf, so that we might become the righteousness of God in him. I'm saying right now, here's what it says. He made Christ, who never bought any red stuff, who always chose the birthright, never traded it in, to take the red stuff that is all over you and put it on himself. And very literally, it works. Christ's blood is that red stuff. It's your red stuff. And then, you know what he did? Right afterwards, it says, well, let me finish my version of the verse. To take the red stuff that is all over you and put it on himself, so that we might be as if, that you might be as if you never had any red stuff at all. And then what did he do after that? And then he bought the birthright back, and then he put it back in your cart. That's what happened. That's what the cross is all about, is him buying your red stuff, saying, I'll take your red stuff. I'll trade you back that red stuff that you took, and I've got the birthright here for you. Please, please trade it back, because I made you. And I'm excited. I'm still got a chance. This is the only chance we got, is for me to do this. So he hung on a cross to pay a steep price for your sin, for all your worthless choices, and his resurrection proves that it was accepted, that the deal, that his resurrection is the receipt for that. He comes and shows you that receipt and says, look at that, I bought it. It's done. Prove it. Here's the receipt. You can't deny it. Can't deny that it happened, because the resurrection proves it. So what is the moral of this entire thing? Well, the moral is to try to tell you, define sin is this worthless choice. As looking toward, seeing something great that is in front of you and choosing something other. But I guess at the end of this one, at least for today, it's you can always waiting. In Ephesians 1:7, it says, in him we have we've been bought back through his blood, the forgiveness of our trespasses, according to the richness of his grace. Isaiah 44:22 says, return to me, for I have bought you. I have redeemed you. This is the red stuff that he has taken on and bought himself, but it's yours. And the birthright is back in your cart, only if you will say yes. Now, I know I'm not talking to a lot of you guys who, most of y'all know this, but I thought I'd just say that anyway. All right, guys, thanks for listening. I will see you next time.
Theology